بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، إن معه جبل خبز ونهر ماء. Dajjal will control global food supplies and have a monopoly with regards to water resources as well. As people of Iman, we need to become more interrogative, more objective, rather than subjective and accepting the norm. Yes, Iman is in deen. يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. What Allah and His Rasul have said, al-ra's wal-ayn, accepted wholeheartedly without any question. As for dunya and the people of the dunya, and that's one of the primary reasons why we go into detail about what is happening globally. So this is just a small portion of what is being said. There's a lot more, but we need to do research. And that's why it is said it is easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. To convince somebody that they are the con, you are in a game, you've been played, that is more difficult. So how do we come out of the box? That's why he said, don't listen to the person who has the answers, listen to the person who has the questions. They come in with the answers, they come in with solutions, they tell you this was happening. But who's bringing the questions forward? Why? What's the need? So much has transpired and yet we just go with the flow. They say just because some people are fueled by drama doesn't mean you have to attend the performance. Doesn't mean you have to attend the performance. We are attending the performance. So yes, dunya is darul asbab, so see through these asbab. There's a yaqini asbab, salah, dua, that's yaqini for sure, but we don't believe that because we're not doing it. And what these planned agendas are, we go by it. So we shouldn't be walking into it. Manatani rahmatullah, you say, do not desire peace and comfort in this world. Why? It's not going to happen. Troubles will only come to an end when you're in Jannah. This world is a place of trials, it is a place of tribulations, it's a place of difficulty, it's a place of hardship. Complete peace is only in Akhirat. And building your Akhirat is not difficult, it's straightforward. Yes, in the dua we are taught to make dua for peace, for protection, for afiyat, afwa wal afiyah wal mu'afat al-da'ima. And we are favored with the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which Allah can protect us from using it in the wrong avenues. All these bounties, and one of the greatest bounties is intellect, the differentiating factor to identify haqq and batil. The ultimate goal of Iblis is to take one away from Allah, away from Akhirat, away from Sunnah. So these ni'am and bounties of Allah, am I using it for haqq or batil? Junaid rahimahullah was asked on the reality of shukr. So he replied, Allah yasta'an bi shay'in min ni'amihi ala ma'asihi. That from all the bounties of Allah on you, you do not use any one of those in the disobedience of Allah. Allamna Qayyim, explaining the bounties of Allah, said, La tazal al-dhunub تزيد عنه نعمة نعمة حتى يسلب النعم. A person continues committing sin after sin after sin, which automatically starts destroying his bounties, ni'mah for ni'mah, losing, until you lose all the favors and bounties of Allah. So one guna is a stab in your foot, it's a stab in your own self. إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. وبالجملة فإن معاصي نار النعم تأكلها, because this sin, this guna, disobedience is a fire which eats your bounties. كما تأكل النار الحطب, like how fire consumes wood. This sin will consume your bounties and will remove your afiyat. Allah ibn Jozy used to say, من لم يعرف قدر النعم صلبها من حيث لا يعلم. If you don't really value these bounties, it will be snatched away from you. You cannot even fathom. You won't have a clue. You don't know where it's going, what's happening. But the problem is me. So we need to introspect and check ourselves every day. Am I getting closer to Allah? Am I getting closer to Sunnah? Getting closer to Deen? Moving on to the planning and plotting, if we look at the global food structure and agendas that have been enacted. So look at Netherlands, where the agricultural minister was forced to resign. Why? Because the Dutch farmers protested. They're doing something about it. They're doing something about it. So there was a 24.2 billion scheme to buy out local farmers to facilitate this transition. And they don't want intensive farming practices this conventional way. And government pushed for the agenda. It provoked mass demonstrations across the continent. So 40,000 farmers blocked roads, tractors, defacing government official homes. So, but what's the next step? You stood up, very good. What's the plan? What's the game plan? They'll let it ride. They'll say, okay, you people are doing this here. Let's find another way. So look at Ukraine. So routes, ways how to get grain out of Ukraine. But what's the backdrop behind all of this here? So so there was a uproar that we needed safe shipping of Ukrainian grain. We want to ease the hunger crisis in Africa. Shame, the Africans are dying. Shame. What a deception. But who owns the grain that is grown there? Is it illegal GMO patented corn and other grains? Is it backed by the corrupt Zelensky regime, who have made deals with the major GMO agribusiness companies and long-term taking control of the world's black earth farmland? The black gold. Previously black gold was oiled. Black gold is the earth farmland. Look at the 2014 CIA coup, and the president had to flee, Ukrainian president flee for his life to Russia. So the again prelude to that was that the president Viktor was the president of Ukraine at that time, 2013, that Ukraine would join the Russian Eurasian Economic Union. And the deal was $15 billion. Russia would take over the state debt and 33% reduction in Russian gas. And the opposition, they were connected to the IMF, the World Bank, and the deal that would go down would privatize the agricultural land. It will allow GMO crops, and that would cause serious repercussions. So $17 billion IMF loan. What was the deal? We will get all of this, but to cover that, you will have to raise personal income taxes by 66%. So the public were going to suffer. Civilians today, up to today, don't know the backdrop. And they were going to pay 50% more for natural gas. So it was an enslavement. And an average worker would have to work 10 years longer to get his pension. So in the name of a foreign investment, and IMF, as usual, would rape the country who is these global corporate companies. So and the new leader came in power, obviously CIA backed, and they paved the way for these GMO giants from Monsanto to DuPont. So this Washington imposed IMF loan wanted, now this is a very important point, they wanted Ukraine to reverse the ban on genetically engineered crops. Why? These private corporations could now get into what they do best. So going back after that, a Ukrainian TV comedian, May 2019, Vladimir Zelensky, and a protege of a corrupt Ukraine oligarch, Igor Kolomoisky, was elected president, and he, in the name of revolt against government corruption. So what's the first thing you would have done? Think about it. You would go back to a country, your president, and you want to do good for your populace. You overturn a 2001 land moratorium. So if people did see through this, the farmers, the citizens, they staged huge protests to block the changes proposed by Zelensky. But then COVID lockdown happened, and in May 2021, Zelensky signed a bill 2194, and that deregulated land. So this was a sneaky move, and he claimed that it allows Ukrainians to buy and sell valuable farmland in the first few years, but he didn't mention what other laws were there where we could allow. He allowed foreign-owned companies like Monsanto, which is part of BAG, DuPont, now Corteva, to operate in Ukraine and to buy the land. Exactly what they wanted came into law. So if you really want to go into it, look at the board of directors of the US-Ukraine Business Council, just to know if these GMO-linked agribusinesses are grabbing Ukrainian prime farmland. And this includes the largest private grain and agribusiness giant in the world, Cargill, Monsanto, Bayer, they own patented GMO seeds, Roundup, GMO Fusion, Dow Chemicals, the grain cartel giants, etc. So from these cartel giants, Louis Dreyfus, to farm equipment, John Deere, and Zelensky betrayed his people. So with this whole thing, 16.7 million hectares of prime Ukrainian black earth farmland was sold out. So the whole plan, the whole agenda, the whole game, that was the reason behind it. So that's on one front. Then on the ground level, now this is happening literally, we just take in one country because obviously it may be clear in people's minds, but many people don't know the backdrop and the prelude to what is happening and why the Russians had to come in and why the Ukrainians are still blinded and don't realize that Russia is acting on the civilians' favor. They there for you. You've been robbed. The thief is gonna kill you. He's put poison in you. He's done everything to destroy you. Somebody comes to help you. You partner up with the thief and you fight against somebody who's there to assist you. And as just average public people, I mean, we caught up in the process, your UPFs, ultra processed foods, which we've discussed, and different countries, it's a cause of different form of sicknesses and diseases, and people are consuming it more and more and more. So what's a UPF in simple words? It's a ready to eat or heat industrial formulations. They've used ingredients from foods or synthesized in laboratories, and it's to replace your traditional foods, your traditional meals, traditionally fresh. And studies have shown that around 50,000 deaths in 1 year is connected to UPFs. 10.5% of all premature deaths, 22% of all deaths, etc. and go into the data and see the studies. Where do you find them? Pre-packaged soups, your sauces, your frozen foods, your frozen pizza, your ready-to-eat meals, your processed foods, your hot dogs, your sausages, your drinks, sodas, ice cream, cookies, cakes, candies, donuts, list goes on. So it's a colonization of the global market where these UPFs are being pushed. Take another country, Mexico. So these big companies have taken over the food distribution channels. They're replacing the local foods with cheap processed foods. And we find that obesity in Mexico has skyrocketed. And US corporations have now literally colonized the food distribution networks in these small scale vendors, which are called tiendas, corner shops in Mexico. And they've literally displaced Mexico's main source of food sales by retail chains. Likewise, move to Europe. So half of the population of Europe is overweight and obese. And UK costs around 27 billion pounds per year. That's 7% of the national health spending due to obesity. So how do you control this? How do you get this? You say Europe, but the intellectuals, they've got lobbyists. So they've spent around 29.3 million euros annually to lobby in the EU. And from Coca-Cola to Nestle to other food giants, they've got the lobbying platform, then propaganda. Why? They sponsor sporting events and even exercise programs, health programs. Why? Because they want to create a false impression that they are not in, they preventing poor health. Again, dhokha and deception. So that's scientific evidence is clear. They've created and it's an alternate parallel system where people are on haqq and are speaking about it. But the real evidence has been sidelined by these billions of euros. They've backed, take sugar, the sugar lobby. So the same tactics which the tobacco industry used for decades, they are doing the same thing. A professor of nutrition, John Udican, and he wrote a book, The Effects of Sugar, Pure White and Deadly. Pure white and deadly, that is sugar. And he said, if only a small fraction of what we know about the effects of sugar were to be revealed in relation to any other material used in food additive, that would be banned. That would be banned. So we don't realize it, but most of our foods, all our ingredients, everything has this high level of sugar, and they have an agenda and they will promote our agenda, and the fact that I have supported them, every rand, every dollar which goes into this is supporting their structure. The amal for today is to read salat with jama'at and to make sure that you are in the first saf. La takhtalifu. Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam used to go to the end of the row, straighten the chest and shoulders of the people and make sure the sufuf was straight, and you should make i'lan, la takhtalifu fatakhtalifa qulubukum. Let there be no crookedness, all your hearts will be disunited. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala safil awwali. Surely Allah and His angels send salutations on the first saf, on the first row. May Allah give us tawfiq of making amal. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.